So the psychologists that study this stuff, where they actually study grit, people have written papers on this, it's a whole thing. What they have discovered is that grit, number one, is a much better indicator of success than either talent or IQ. Grit is what actually moves us forward. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not resilient with your talent, then you're not going to move forward. If you're not able to take the initiative with your talents and your gifts, you're not going to be able to move forward. If you're not tenacious with your gifts, and if you don't have guts to step out into that uncomfortable place with your gifts, then nothing actually demonstrates from that. So grit is something that is so important, and what makes grit possible is what we call a growth mindset. Right? And this is where the idea of a challenge actually entices you rather than makes you fearful. Growth mindset means that we are willing to step out in some way, always, more than who we think we were the moment before. And this aligns so beautifully with what Unity knows and believes, because we believe that we are the divinity here in time, in space, and that we are here for the revelation of our Christ self. We are here to reveal always more, never less, the truth of who we are. And that, by its very nature, is a growth mindset, that we're willing to embrace challenge, that we're willing to embrace the idea that we are a process, that life is a process, and that we are not hooked up on whether or not something is perfect, but we are driven by an ideal of excellence. Can you feel the difference between striving into excellence, which means that it's always a process that is evolving and growing? You are always going to be capable of more and more and more excellence. There's no end in that, because we are divine beings. We are infinite in our nature. We're never done, you guys. I know it can be frustrating sometimes, because we want to check a box and be like, nah, I got that covered. There's always more for us to discover about ourselves and the world. And so what if you didn't focus on perfection? Just breathe with me on that for a second. What if it wasn't about being perfect? What if it was actually about continually discovering how you are called to show up more fully, more passionately, persevering with passion? That is what the invitation is for all of us. Because grit is how we will change the world. And not grit where we get small and closed off, but grit where we are actually more open, that we're willing to show our heart, that we're willing to be the tender shoot that's growing in the midst of the desert. And that if that shoot doesn't make it, guess what? We can always grow another one. That's the resilience